From Wall Street to Main Street to help small business owners have the same capital as corporate America and give them the same resources as a larger company. We cover business funding, business credit, scaling, business consulting, and much more. Check out the website at shieldadvisorygroup.com. Welcome to the show, The Liquid Lunch Project.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Liquid Lunch Project. I am Matthew R. Meehan alongside my partner and co-host, Luigi, the Professor, Rosa Bianca. What's on tap today, Lou?
Matt, at the end of the day, every small business in America was started or led by some visionary idea. There was always that genesis, the hero's tale. And our next guest has assembled a sort of Justice League of visionaries. He's got a bunch of superheroes under the BrEpic network. So we'd love to welcome to the podcast, Justin Breen. Welcome. Justin, tell us what the brainchild was behind the BrEpic network and how you were able to assemble such a group of elite visionaries.
Well, thank you for having me, and I think of both of you at the start of COVID on Clubhouse. I can imagine, and then you're like, oh wow, look what we've done. We've created this show that's got 170 plus episodes. And then I think life is. I think that's a good story for life. That you just do something and then you see what happens. That's the only way to learn anything is to actually do something. So I don't really understand overthinkers or overfeelers. I just execute. I like to just do stuff. And then my day is very simple, and it's always been like this. It's either hanging out with my family or connecting visionaries to serve humanity. I've never really understood business owner stuff. It's confusing to me. Was a journalist for 20 years, so you don't get into that for business owner stuff. I just like to talk to and connect cool people. And then, life to me is about doing what you like to do and what you're good at. And I like to hang out with my family and connect visionaries to serve humanity. And so I just do that all day, every day. And I've found all this business owner stuff is taking care of itself, just focused on that.
Justin, those are heavy words. Can you do a deep dive in what that means in serving humanity? Because I think it may mean different things to different people.
Tremendous. You're a great listener, working genius. Patrick Lencioni's got a great test called Working Genius. Most of the people I talk to are like wonder inventors. I'm not a wonder inventor, except for a few things, but my two skills are discernment, galvanize. So mostly listening to folks with ADD that are all over the place. And I hear blah, 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 and then simplify, discern. And then, oh, that's a great idea. I'll do that. And then, oh, hey, here's someone who has all this money and then they've destroyed their family or never had a family because all they care about is business owner stuff. I'm like, well, that's a bad idea. I'm not going to do that. So I just focus on my family and connect visionaries. But so my entire brain, all it does is talk to the smartest, most successful people on planet. Most of them have ADD. They're all over the place. And then distill it into a pattern or an answer. So every answer is a pattern. And then there's a fundamental difference to actually answer your question. The fundamental difference between visionaries and humans, business owners, consultants. There's a fundamental difference. So business owners, humans, consultants, they're thinking about paycheck, transactional things, employee count, revenue. So they're trying to change their world, focused on the word there. And then a true visionary cares about loved ones, spending time with loved ones, purpose, true connectivity. They're changing the world, it's a fundamental difference between the world thinking and their world. And I found that their world thinkers are their own limiters because they're not trying to change the world. They're only focused on doing what they have to do to change their world. And then a the world person only wants to talk to a the world because they're past their world linear thinking.
Well, doesn't that tend to happen with successes in life, right? Because immediately, usually out of the gate, you can't really think about changing the world unless you can change your life from the beginning, right? So that also comes.
Well, that's the question. See, so I would fundamentally disagree with that.
Okay,
Fundamentally.
let's
Yeah.
unpack that.
Yeah, fundamentally. So I would say our firms partner with maybe 1 out of 1,000, maybe 1 out of 1,000. And I strongly feel you're either born like this or you're not. My litmus test is my father, who was 61 when I was born, 61. He was a World War II hero, shot down multiple times in combat, many times without a parachute, and he would just get back into another plane. So most people can't do that. That's why they stay small business owner or consultant or human. They wouldn't get back. They're their own limiters. So I think you're either born like that or you're not. If you are born like that, what I 100% will agree with you on, if you are born like that, is you can work on your mindset every single day. And then we just partner with visionaries who live in abundance and who look at things as investments, not costs. So anyone who asks, what do you cost or charge? They're their own limiter, and you can't be a visionary if you're your own limiter and you look at things as costs because you don't live in abundance. And so that repels most of society, but most people don't live in abundance. So they think 1 out of 1,000 is a small number. If there are 8 billion people, 1 out of 1,000 is 8 million. So that's a lot of people.
Matt, you're deep in thought, buddy. Talk to me.
I'm trying to wrap my head around that. So tell me about the network. So you're partnering with people that are looking to change the world. In what aspects?
They are changing them. Yeah, they're doing it. And they have the capital. They have the capital.
Okay, they have the capital to change the world, right? So how did they get that capital?
Well, one of our partners is Jack Schuler. He's a Forbes billionaire. Definitely had ADD growing up before ADD was a diagnosis. He was the CEO of Abbott Labs. He has multiple companies. And then over the last 20 years, he's given away all of his money to help underserved kids in Chicago, Milwaukee, go to schools like Harvard and Yale for free.
Okay.
But this is what separates humans from everyone, for some visionaries. There are only 4 things. 1, bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy. 2, depression. 3, the highest level of anxiety that you can imagine. 4, likely and or possible traumatic experiences as a child or young adult. So humans, small business owners, consultants, those are excuses. Visionary, figure it out. So when I first started first company 6 years ago with 0 business background, I was talking to folks that were like maybe 1 or 2 of those things. Now it's all 3s and 4s. And then they have the highest IQ, EQ. They don't make excuses. So how they did it is by not making excuses. They just did it. I started first company with 0 business background, reached out to 5,000 people to find first 5 clients. And I had no idea what I was doing. But so you either can do that or you can't. Most people can't. They're not born like that. So I found that the ones with the most money are usually always all 4 of those 4 things: bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy, 2, depression, 3, anxiety, 4, likely and or possible traumatic experiences as a child or young adult. And then they have the highest IQ and highest EQ, most guts, most courage. So that's how they did it.
Justin, just to clarify, you find that the visionaries that you come into contact with have those 4 pillars as their underlying foundation?
100%. Yeah. Usually I was talking to Dr. Akintoye Akindele. He's in Africa. He's made millions, if not billions, lost millions, if not billions. He wrote, I can't remember the exact name of the book, but it's like Failure is the Key. And I was talking about those 4 things. And he's like, not only are all 4 apparent, but he said, and he took it a step further. He said, you have to go through all 4 to transform from pride to purpose. I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm 3 of the 4. The only thing I haven't, knock on wood, had to worry about is bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy. But most of the really, if you look at successful people or however you define that, most of the successful people I talk to, not the silver spoons, because that's a fundamentally different discussion.
Of course.
But most of them are all 4, the really successful ones. And then they just
Now, Justin, how does a person that has gone through those 3-4 character traits that can be traumatic, how do you then operate efficiently among society?
They don't. No. So people like me are usually aliens within their own family, community, and verticals. The only people that understand us are top visionaries. Yeah. So I spent most of my life talking to people who had no idea what I was talking about. And there's two things how they function. One, people like me usually marry stabilizing humans. Not always, but usually. Teacher.
So your wife doesn't have any of the character traits that you have. That's how you guys coexist.
Well, people like me usually marry school teacher, nurse. My wife's a pediatrician. Social worker, a stabilizer. And then in companies, usually people like me have a stabilizing human as an integrator, employees who do human stuff. Yeah.
So you've surrounded yourself with like-minded individuals, right? So if you felt that some way, somehow you didn't fit into society, you created your own society.
Create your own society. Why wouldn't you do that? Most people won't do it. That's the point. Well, that's right. So you just answered your own question. Right. So it doesn't, a visionary, hey, here's the formula for creating a successful global company. Again, everything's a pattern. And by the way, you're definitely discernment galvanized. I can hear it. But okay, you're a pattern recognizer, which is high IQ. That's all high IQ is. But so the formula for creating a successful global company is very simple. 1, see a problem. 2, create solution to problem. 3, problem solve. 4, successful global company. So first company was journalist for 20 years, created entire business based on how PR firms annoyed me. I don't know what PR firms do. They just bother me. And then second company, annoyed by platforms that let everyone in because visionaries they want to hang out with visionaries. So just created invite only, high price point connectivity platform. It's the same. But again, most people won't actually do it. They won't create it. They'll see the problem, but they won't do anything about it.
Justin, you're also touching on a salient point that Matt and I mention all the time. And I don't think we've mentioned it on the podcast yet, but one of the most difficult jobs in America is being married to an entrepreneur. Simply because
100%. 2 things happen with that. There are 2 things. Well, let me double down on the 2 things. One, thank you for saying that. By the way, the latest book, Epic Life, is how to build collaborative global companies while putting your loved ones first. That's literally why I wrote the book. And then it was written before my wife decided to phase out of pediatrics and join second company as COO. I would have never asked her to do that. So writing that and then to see it happen in real time, actually become that while the families become even closer is really interesting. That's actually really okay. So there are 2 things with 2 things. 1, people like me usually marry a stabilizing human. One of 2 things happens that I see that happens. So 1, it's a situation where with my wife and me, which I'm grateful for, where my wife is the biggest supporter and has evolved. Because a visionary is not going to change how they're not going to do that. So she's evolved, and then she's transitioning out of pediatrics to become COO. She's an onboarding machine. She's the greatest COO ever. So she's evolved. That's when it works. What I see actually more often is the stabilizing human becomes an anchor and resentment. And even if they stay married, it's a disaster. It's because the visionary is not going to change, and the stabilizing human doesn't evolve with them. So that's what I see in that situation. Sometimes someone like me marries someone like me. That's very rare, but it does happen. So 1 of 2 things happens with that. 1, greatest life imaginable. If you've heard of the group, entrepreneurial group, Strategic Coach, which I'm very grateful to be in, that's a visionary, Dan Sullivan, who married a visionary, Bab Smith, and they created arguably one of the greatest entrepreneur groups in the world, which is their child of thousands of geniuses. Okay, so that's 1. And then 2, more often, it's like Thelma and Louise driving off the cliff because there's no stabilization. Total default. That's
so
more
Justin, I have to ask, and please, we're crazy about you, so we don't mean to offend you, but...
No, you can't offend me. I have low empathy.
Awesome. So, is this a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy? Like you're
Why wouldn't it be? Yeah. So a human, no, because humans don't understand. If you're not a litmus test for people you serve, that's hypocrisy. That's hypocrisy. So I'm connecting visionaries to serve humanity. So I'm a visionary serving humanity.
So let
And
me ask
most people think that's selfish. It's the exact opposite of that.
So Justin, how long ago did you start this visionary network that you have in place?
Well, this specific company, it started a couple of years ago, but it's really taken off since my wife became COO a couple months ago. It's really taken, but I've been like this since I was born. I mean, since I really could communicate.
So I guess my question is, since there's so many limited visionaries that fit the mold.
No, incorrect. There's 8 million. They're just hard to find at first.
Okay. So with that being said, how many are inside the network that you have right now?
At this recording, 38.
Okay. Awesome. And how large do you expect to grow that network?
No, I don't think like that. You can ask my partner who does 8 and 9 figure deals all day. He's a maximizer competition, pure visionary, and then my wife's scaling it. So if you've ever seen the movie Hero Dreams of Sushi, the documentary about the sushi chef who had a 3-star Michelin restaurant in a Tokyo subway station with 14 seats. I mean, that's...
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah.
Okay. So all he did, I don't know if he's still alive, but all he did was make sushi. All he thought about was making sushi. Better ingredients, better fish, more expensive ingredients. So that's the way I think of spending time with my family and then connecting visionaries. Just keep making better sushi, raise the investment, better room, better. And then I've never stopped doing that. So all this business owner stuff, scaling it, is for other people to think about.
So Justin, did you surround yourself with a spouse and a partner that give you those stable?
Tremendous.
Okay. So
well, okay, wait. There's 2 things from that because So in KOLBE, that's how your brain takes action, Colby.com. Most visionaries are high quick start, little to no follow through. So that's ADD diagnosed, undiagnosed. I'm actually high quick start and high follow through, which is really rare. It's like 2 different people in one. And then my wife, a traditional integrator, stabilizing human, is low quick start, high follow through, which is good. That's good. So for first company, for the PR firm, if you want to call it that, I don't want to scale that. I don't, I just love doing it. I never get bored of it. Don't have a partner for that. Never want that. Don't have employees, have some freelancers, but don't want that. For second company, I needed to partner with someone like Mark Fujiwara, who's my partner, who does 8 and 9 figure deals all day. And he's full ADD, pure visionary, because his brain will take it and will answer the question that you're talking about. I don't think like that. And then my wife is a stabilizing human at home and within the company. She's Harmony 1 in Strength Finders, Harmony Relator. So she brings harmony in relation to family. She taught me how to say thank you, all that stuff. Our kids are super kind, that have a lot of friends, and which is really interesting to see. And then, so it's a double answer to your question. Like, my partner will take the company to things I never even would have thought about because he's a visionary. And then my wife brings stability and harmony to it. And then I just like to sit back and connect people. That's all. I don't really think about anything else.
So Justin, I'm so curious, like these 2 superheroes known as you and your wife, you have 2 beautiful boys.
Yeah.
Are they more like you or more like
me?
They're like me. Somewhere in between.
Okay. So I see the world in numbers and keywords. In Colby, the only thing I write down before I meet someone is their name and their Colby score. So KOLBE. And then both of our sons, who are 9 and 11, they're both 9 quick start visionary maniacs. Maniac is a compliment. The 9-year-old is a pure genius. He'll take over both companies. There'll be several more by then, but he's already talked about that. We talk about bending time and IQ. The 11-year-old is a world-class distance runner. His top 5K time is 20 minutes, 38 seconds. He's completely unemployable. He's oh my God. He's unemployable. He will be unemployable in a good way.
Well, most entrepreneurs aren't.
Correct. Well, yeah, he's there, and they're bigger visionaries than I am. They're more like my partner. Mark. And then it's really fascinating because both our children have my wife's, hold on, let me be a human for a second. They have her kindness.
Was there a button you just pressed on and off?
It's fan. Yeah, right. And then my wife just makes fun of me, which is hilarious. But no. So they're like, they have friends, and they are like really kind and loving. Like, I learn more from them than I think they do from me.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I mean, yeah, because like without my wife gave me a life. Like without her, I'd be in a ditch somewhere.
So can you explain for the audience more about this Kolbe score that?
Oh yeah.
Because I'm sure they want to know a little bit more about it.
Okay, sure. So I'm not affiliated with Kolbe at all. I don't, but just again, for me, because see the world in numbers, for me, that's the easiest way to understand someone and make an intro for someone. So again, it's kolbe.com, A index. It's $55 US. I always know when someone is not a visionary when they ask, what does it cost? I'm like, well, sorry. And then, but it does happen. It's really interesting, actually, but it surprises me. But and then it takes 20 minutes. And then it measures how your brain takes action. I don't care what your personality is. I don't care what you do. I don't really care. I don't know if you're actually going to do something. So the overwhelming majority of visionaries are high, quick start, little to no follow through. So that's ADD, diagnosed or undiagnosed. It's not a disorder. It's a sign of genius mislabeled by humans. And then without humans, or an integrator or stabilizers helping them, it's a total disaster. It's a nightmare. It's just complete chaos. And then I have high quick start and high follow through and high fact finder. So again, it's like you combine multiple people in one. So it's hit the gas, pump the brakes, hit the gas, pump the brakes, discern, galvanize, discern, galvanize. So like can keep up with the visionary and follow through for them. And I'm a visionary too. So it's very rare. And then folks like my wife, the integrator, the stabilizing human, they're lower quick start, higher follow through. So they're waiting for the visionary to give a direction or a way to go, and then they'll never stop following through. Never stop following through.
So Justin, how's a guy like you become a journalist?
Oh man, what a great question. What a great question. So I was an entrepreneur who happened to be a journalist. I just didn't know that until starting first company. I'll explain what that means. So
I don't think Justin realizes how funny he is.
Oh, that wasn't a joke, but maybe my wife married me because I was a hard worker and I managed people twice my age. And then I married her because I loved her and she's beautiful and sweet and brilliant. And then she said I was a hard worker and kind of funny. So I thought that was funny right. So people like us, usually aliens within their own family, community, and vertical, only people who understand us are visionaries. So for 20 years, I was an entrepreneur who happened to be a journalist and then never understood negative news or like political stuff. I don't understand that stuff. So journalists who are journalists are like, why are you writing about and connecting cool people changing the world? And I'm like, why are you complaining about whatever? I don't know, this election or it was confusing. Okay. So my father was 61 when I was born. World War II hero, shot down multiple times in combat, died when I was 13. He became an attorney in Nuremberg, Nazi war crime trials. He was a brilliant writer. I found a diary of his World War II experiences after he died, and excerpts of that diary are in chapter 1 of Epic Life. I write exactly like he does with different words, word choices, but write exactly like he does. And then my mom was 27 when I was born. My father was hit by a drunk driver in his late 50s, and then the drunk driver was killed. My dad broke every bone in his body, and survived. And then he woke up, and my mom was his nurse, and that's how they met. And then my mom has more hustle than anyone I've ever met, and all I do is talk to top hustlers on the planet. So I was just born with that, whatever that is. And then owning global PR firm and global connectivity platform, it's still the same thing. It's writing about and connecting cool people, changing the world.
But Justin, you're in school and you're studying, and you obviously have a plethora of options to fulfill your career dreams. How did you end up in journalism? Like, what is it about journalism that appealed to your unique mind?
Endlessly curious about meeting cool people, and that was a way to do it. Most journalists are a little bit off in general. They don't really conform to mainstream society. And I have found that journalism is a way for people like me to find a way to communicate, because they have a hard time communicating in normal conversations. So it's a way to talk to someone. And then was always fascinated by the top athlete or top entertainer, top actor, top musician, and have found there are only two commonalities in those people, and then the top entrepreneur or the top visionary. There's only two commonalities that I've seen. One is and this is a lifetime of interviewing people, or talking to people. But one is they have the same mindset, no excuses. They'll get back into a plane after another one's been shot down. They'll just do it. And then two, I haven't met the exception to this yet. If you've interviewed someone who's an exception to this, I would like to meet them. But they had one person who genuinely cared about them and or believed in them. Doesn't have to be a parent. It could be a teacher, a coach, a mentor, someone. They had at least one. I've not met the exception to that yet.
Does that person serve as a catalyst? Is something ignites that fire inside?
Tremendous question. Yeah, you want the deep dive. That you're a deep thinker. You'd be a good journalist, because that's the curiosity brain. What I have seen with that, again, people like me are usually aliens within their own family, community, and vertical, so nobody really understands us. I was the exception because my dad was a pure visionary. My mom kind of, but my dad, and then I grew up with no rules at all. Like, there were no negative rules, no rules. So my dad believed in me, even though he died when I was young, and then other mentors. But I think again, this is why I haven't seen the exception. If you have no one who understands you or believes in you, I think that would be because entrepreneurs are very lonely at the start. Some of them never find the right people. So it's like Alcatraz, very lonely. But if you have that one person, I think catalyst is the right word. It makes you, it validates, a validator.
Is that one of the mandates of your organization, is to give these visionaries a proverbial, reference point, a shoulder to cry on? So
that is what I've heard more than. This is what I've heard. If it's helpful, because you understand, you already know the answer. You're probably asking that for your audience, but you feel it. That's your high EQ intuition. What I hear is that oh, you understand me more than anyone I've ever met in my life. And then it's the first time I've ever met them, because I cut through all the BS, all the shield and stuff. And I was talking to a woman, she's 63, and she's a beauty queen, a supermodel on magazine covers, and then been in movies and stuff. And that's fine. And so I'm like, oh, so have you ever been married? She's like, no. Have you ever had children? No. And I go, is all this stuff just a shield for all the trauma that you've had in your life and not connecting with people? She's like, yes. And that was 3 minutes into the conversation. So she's like, oh, 63 years, no one's understood me like you have in 3 minutes. And I'm like, that's the saddest thing I've ever heard in my life. It was horrible, because just imagine that. But that's the typical visionary. They want to be around people that understand them.
But
and
Justin,
not only understand them, but will do stuff with them.
But let me challenge you just a little bit here, because you're saying that a lot of these visionaries in your network lack empathy and they're so unique. But at the end of the day, to be successful, I think you need two things.
Yes.
You have to have a skill set. The content has to be there, right?
Yeah.
You can't be an empty box.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, as technologically acute or as astute you may be in any field, you have to be able to connect to people. Like, look, whether you like it or
100%.
not, you're connecting to us right now. We like you, man. So you could say all you want that you're this antithesis to social grace, but people like you, and
people love me. Oh. So one, thank you for that. Yeah, I don't even think you were challenging me there. I think we were actually agreeing. So, and then again, talk is meaningless without an answer. So like, there are 34 Gallup Clifton Strength Finders, GALLUP. Again, I see the world in numbers of keywords, but I am dead last in empathy and second to last in includer and strength finders. But for visionaries, I have endless empathy, endless, because I understand them better than they understand themselves because they haven't been surrounded by people that. And then
so you don't suffer fools, but you suffer geniuses.
Well, good point. And then it's because of those four things. It's those four things, and they don't make excuses. But if someone makes an excuse or asks what do you cost or charge, I'll never talk to them again, ever. And there's a simple reason why. Because those people take time away from me and my family. I'd rather hang out with my family than talk to someone who's going to waste my time. And then most people don't have the structure or the courage, I guess, to be like that.
Hey,
and
Justin,
that is, go ahead.
You ever have one of those like odd experiences where, and my New York will come out, right? You bump into someone on the subway, or you meet someone at the deli counter, or maybe you're on vacation and you just happen to meet, and like you have these like synergistic experiences.
Serendipitous. That's my entire life. Yeah.
But to do that, you have to be open-minded.
Correct.
But I think you're a little severe in saying, well, if you don't do this, you don't do that, I kind of X you out of my life. And
totally disagree with that. Totally disagree.
Okay, so please walk us through.
Yeah, so you're higher in empathy and includer than me, which is great. I'm thankful for that. And then my partner is third in empathy on Strength Finders, and my wife is Harmony 1 in Strength Finders. So all I look at, if you want to call them weaknesses, I'm not going to change who I am, but it is a chance to find collaborative strengths. So my wife can relate in harmony with anyone. That's why it works. And then my partner empathizes with everyone while he's doing 8 and 9 figure deals. That's why it works, because I know my strengths, which attract, by the way, top visionaries on planet that don't make excuses and they want to be around other people like that. And then my weaknesses attract people with exact opposite strengths because they want to collaborate and they don't want to compete on anything, which is perfect.
Justin, what's your relationship with spirituality and religion?
Great. Okay, so multiple things. One of the chapters in Epic Life is God winks. I'm always amazed by visionaries that don't believe in a higher power. It's okay not to. It just surprises me. I don't believe in randomness. Things are just meant to be based on how my parents met, and then my dad surviving World War II, and God knows what else he survived. And then my wife and I met the day before she started medical school. And then without my wife, I'm in a ditch somewhere. So I just think God put us together in some capacity. And then I invest 6 figures plus to be around top entrepreneurs on planet, and then created own room for that. And if you want to call them breakouts or one-on-one discussions, well over 50% of the time, the discussion talks about religion and God. It's amazing. It almost always does, because the visionary is not a their world. They're not transactional, their world thinker. They're the world outside of this world. Again, purpose, true connectivity. And I think religion and spirituality is a part of that. That's what I mean. Like, so a business owner's talking about employee count, or I don't know, whatever that is. Hey, we just made this list. I mean, great. Visionaries talking about religion. And I'm endlessly fascinated by religion. Endlessly. It's the most interesting, because it's an entrepreneurial operational system. That's what religion is.
So Justin, you now have achieved loads of success, both as a journalist, as a networker, as a visionary, as a family member, as a father. What's next? What what is piquing your curiosity next?
Oh, well, Earl Nightingale, he's my favorite. Do you guys know who Earl Nightingale is? If you've
I do
watched
not.
it. Okay, so he is the OG. He's like the original Tony Robbins. I like older folks. Earl Nightingale's long gone, but I like people like that because they remind me of my dad. So my favorite quote of his is, "Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Success is progressive realization of a worthy ideal." So my worthy ideal is spending time with my family and connecting visionaries to serve humanity. And so that's all I do. So whatever happens from that, whether it's another company or more collaborations.
How have you been finding these visionaries?
They find me. At this point, so what happens is, again, everything's a pattern. So spent most of my life trying to find them because they're hard to find. But then two becomes, because visionaries want to introduce you to other visionaries. So most of my day is people just connecting me to other visionaries. And then I connect them to other visionaries. But there's a four-step journey that I see when starting a company that I see. So one is you get totally fine. I reached out to 5,000 people to find first 5 clients while I was working full-time as a journalist. It's fine. Then there's get to give. You're mostly getting, you're giving a little bit. You give 2 intros to get 10. Most of the world stays at that for sure. They get to give. Then there's give to get. You're giving mostly, but you're still trying to get a little. That's where 99.9% of people stop. That's where, and then you get to the visionary level. It's give to the people who get it. So I'll endlessly give to people who get it because they get it. They understand. Whether or not they give anything back, but usually they do because they get it. They understand.
Justin, I know you've heard this analogy in the past, but all this giving, kind of empties your bucket of water. Like, what do you do to
Incorrect. Totally incorrect for me. No, that is an endless, no. Totally incorrect for me. My entire life is giving to give to the people who get it and hang out with my family. I never get tired of it.
And that in and of itself replenishes you.
That is my replenisher. So that's the whole point. I never get tired of that. That's why success is progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That's literally my worthy ideal. So the business owner gets tired of doing something because they're doing something they shouldn't be doing or don't like doing. I never get tired of doing anything because I only do what I like to do and what I'm good at. That's the difference. Just don't get me to hold a pencil or sign up for a tech thing because I'll electrocute myself. It was just a horrible, I can barely tie my shoes. Oh man, it's not good. But at this thing, I'm a pretty good dad, average husband, above average sometimes. And then, at this stuff, I'm pretty good at it. So that doesn't empty me at all. In fact, like, whatever the opposite, it's the fuel. It's the endless fuel. And more importantly, knowing I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. That's such a great joy. And then I found that most people are miserable for two reasons. One, they never find out what they're good at or what they like to do. So that's so they're doing something 8 to 10 hours every day that they're not good at or don't like to do. That's not good. And then 2, this I don't understand. They find out what they're good at, what they like to do, and they don't do anything about it. I'm like, well, why would you do that?
Hey, Justin, did you have any siblings growing up?
Man. What do you think the answer to that is?
Because I only ask questions I know the answers to.
Well, what do you think the answer is? Do you think I'm an only child?
Yeah, I would guess that.
You're totally wrong. My partner's an only child. I had 3 siblings.
Okay.
Justin, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. This was definitely interesting. Can you tell the audience where they can find you? Reach out to you.
We're in space. BrEpicNetwork.org. BrEpicNetwork.org. And it's if it makes you feel better, like my wife and partner And then the developers, they meet without me, and then they just laugh. They just make fun of me the whole time, which is perfect. I think that's the greatest thing ever. I never
And
go
don't
there.
sell yourself short. Make sure you pick up his book, Epic Life by Justin Breen.
Thanks. Thank you.
Justin, thank you so much, buddy. We'll catch everybody on the next episode of the Liquid Lunch Project.
Thank you for listening to the show. And make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. We'll see you on the next episode of the Liquid Lunch Project.